Just like a nonprofit. Oh, yeah, he gave me 20.
Matches and hits that we take together over the upcoming years. My name is Ryan Church, and on behalf of the board and staff of the I Love Baseball Foundation, allow me to start this evening by first saying thank you and just expressing how much we appreciate that you would take time on a Friday night to come and hear about perhaps a crazy vision that a few guys that like to play baseball every now and then had on how we might take something that we love doing and that we're passionate about and help some people that live across the world in some ways. They live in a whole nother world and do something great with this game that we love. So thank you for taking a few hours to join us here. Now, I know that many received an invitation, many of my friends, and the first thing they said, well, what is the I Love Baseball Foundation? And my typical response was, well, come to the dinner and find out. And others said, maybe I told them a little bit more, and they said, well, that sounds pretty cool. How can I support what you guys are doing? And again, my response was, well, come to the dinner and find out. And so the program that we have planned for you tonight is intended to do just that, to inform you about what this thing that we're doing is all about, and then give you an opportunity and an invitation to be involved in coming alongside this mission and this ministry as well. So we'll get started with that, but I also know that everybody here wants to eat, and so we're going to do that before we do anything else. As we come to a wonderful dinner, a table prepared by our good friends over at the Upper Crust Catering, Jim Lustig and Jeremy Scranton over there. I want to pray for us, and then I will dismiss you by road. So bow with me in prayer. Gracious God, for everything that we've been given and for everything that we've received, we are truly, truly grateful. Lord, that we didn't wonder today if we were going to eat. Lord, we knew that there would be food for us at the end of this day. And Lord, so many of those that we've worked with in the Dominican are still wondering if they're going to eat tonight. And so, Lord, we're grateful that we're not wondering, and ask that you bless this to our bodies and provide for those in a way that only you can. So, Lord, we come to you humble and excited about what you're up to in us and in the I Love Baseball Foundation. It's in Christ's name we pray. Amen. Okay, for those brave souls that were courageous enough to come to the front row, you shall be first in the dinner line. Please go ahead. We'll dismiss as the lines get a little bit small.
Hey, man.
Hey, Kyle.
Hey, Chris.
This is an exciting event.
Man, he's got a baseball in his hand already. He's pumped.
Yeah, can't wait.
Enjoy your desserts. As promised, we're going to get started with our program to share with you a little bit more about the vision that has been given to us about how to make baseball all the more a friend of development organizations and missionaries in the Dominican Republic. So we've got a series of people that are going to share about how this vision came about and about the thoughts that have been talked about and what we're thinking in the direction of this thing. And so I want to introduce our first speaker tonight. Our starter, really, is an ace right-hander with a wicked split-fingered fastball. And I'm absolutely serious about that. A man that absolutely loves baseball and loves the challenge of taking things that he's fired up about and making something great of it. He's the founder and CEO of A to Z Sports, an online amateur sports media company. And he did that after launching his first successful business endeavor, also around the game of baseball, called Pitching A to Z, pitchsmarter.com. So, to tell you a little bit about the, at this point, brief history of the I Love Baseball Foundation, please welcome up our ace, Chris McCoy.
Just want to say thank you to everyone for coming here. I stand up here and think back to a year ago and am humbled by how many friends and family are here. What's the attendance, Alan? Yeah, it's incredible. Well, two things about me. I love the game of baseball, and I firmly think that sports can help the world become a better place. And you know, growing up in a pretty small town, one of the best things that ever happened to me was my grandpa signed me up for t-ball. And we played baseball, we traded cards all day long. Sports was kind of my life. And as I got into high school, I had a chance to learn from my Uncle Kirby, who spent a lot of his life raising money for our baseball programs. He raised over $300,000 and built us batting cages. And I took that on to the University of Washington here, where I came to play baseball. And I got here, and it just wasn't, my heart wasn't into it 100%. I wanted to do other things. I wanted to be a college. I wanted to really kind of enjoy college and learn about entrepreneurship. And so I started teaching pitching lessons in my fraternity and needed a few dollars, and it worked. And then got into the mission field a little bit. I went down to Mexico my freshman year and basically played basketball with orphans down in Ensenada, Mexico. And just my heart opened up for kind of God and sports. 2 years later, I went back to the Dominican Republic and was very lucky to meet some of my close friends, Sean Hardy, Brandon Gleek, Ryan Church, and they shared the same passion I did, a love for baseball. And we go down there, and it's incredible because Billy Schrunk's here, and Bill was our coach of our first team. And we knew we wanted to bring gear down there. I was kind of like, let's bring some gear down there. So I met up with this guy named Dell Parker, who Dell was he was in the Husky Coaches Baseball Hall of Fame. He was probably 75 years old. He spent his life, after he was done coaching, traveled around the world spreading baseball gear to players in Bulgaria and in the Dominican Republic. And so I spent a lot of time with Dale, and he shared his heart with me, and it kind of stayed with me. We go down to the Dominican that year, and we distribute the gear. And coming out of that trip, I knew two things. I knew that I had to do something to help the game of baseball down in the Dominican Republic, and I knew that I was going to go back. And so, senior year rolls around. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. I have this pitching business, and I get involved in this organization called Reality Sports. And their whole deal is to put God and baseball together, where it wasn't just about the game; it was about more than the game. And I coached the pitchers there for like 6 months, and my the buddies in my fraternity were going to Jamaica for spring break, and myself and another guy who's here, who I work with, Dave Betts, we decided, hey, we're going to actually, we're not going to go to Jamaica, we're going to go to the Dominican Republic. And so Dave and I, we don't go to Jamaica. Together we get all this gear. We work with Sean Hardy. We work with David, who's the baseball program director down there. And we probably bring in like 250 pieces of gear. We do T-shirts, and I'm stoked to go down there. And I get down there and with a little more maturity. And I got a chance to spend time with David, and he shared with me kind of what he needed as a baseball program director to help the programs down there be better. And Ben is going to talk more about what that looks like, but it was on my heart. I knew that I had to do something, and I knew I could do something. And it was, Doug's here from Children of the Nations. And I ran the idea by Doug. I was like, Doug, what if we started up some sort of organization that helped baseball in the Dominican? And Doug's like, great idea. And so I prayed about it for a couple days. I thought about it a lot. And it just, riding in the car with David in about 105-degree weather, I'm taking notes, and it just strikes me very clearly like, holy moly, we could actually do something about this. And so, yeah. And so that night, we finished this amazing worship service, and I'm sitting by the bluff there in the Dominican, and it just comes to me. I'm pretty entrepreneurial thinking, so ideas just start rolling. And I just wrote this down. I wrote the Island Baseball Foundation, and I kind of scoped the whole thing out. I was like, I'm going to do this. I wake up the next morning, and Ryan and I had a huge passion for baseball, and I was really excited to go up to Ryan. I'm like, Ryan, we can start this foundation. We can bring American teams down to play. We can bring gear down. And Ryan's like, that's so cool, so we're jacked up about it. It's like 8 in the morning, and we're like, here's the only deal. It was like, I don't have any time, you don't have a lot of time, but we have to do this. So it made perfect sense to me. There was one person that I'd ever met in my entire life that shared the same passions I did, similar experiences, and had the ability to pull it off. We need an executive director. So we looked a couple of tables down, and I think it might have been the first morning he made it down for breakfast, but if anybody knows him, that's true. But Ryan, Ben Holman has to be the executive director of the Island Baseball Foundation. Ryan's like, yeah, all right. So we go, Ben, come here. So he comes over, and we tell him, hey, Ben, check this out. So share the vision with him, and Ben's like, all right, I'll think about it, So over a 3-4 day period, Ben and I are going back and forth talking about, because this is a big deal because we're all looking for jobs. We're seniors in college. What I was asking Ben to do was basically become the executive director of a startup nonprofit organization at $500 a month, and to forego a lot of things. And I'll remember very clearly. We were driving home from Verona there to Santo Domingo that last day. And Ben and I were in the same seat, and we were going over the pros and the cons of doing this. And the thing that was really clear to both Ben and me, that this was not about baseball, this was about God. And that this would be a ministry, this would be something that could really help the world become a better place. And so, amazing enough, Ben signed on. We attacked it early on last year. Ryan came on, Brandon came on. We met at Tolly's, every week, Mondays at like 4 o'clock, 2 o'clock or something. And amazing enough, I don't want to get into exactly what the I Love Baseball Foundation is, but the bottom line is there's some amazing people with huge hearts and God working right behind us, pushing us along to create this foundation that could really help the world become a better place, starting in the Dominican Republic. And so the big thing last summer was Ben, what are the problems down there in the eyes of the Dominicans and people down there? And so with that, I want to introduce a documentary on the I Love Baseball Foundation that's 28 minutes long that we've been putting together for a year, another incredible effort. And so I really hope you enjoy this. We've put a lot of time in this, and thank you very much.
So I'm going to refer to things that you will see in the video, but you haven't seen yet. So, my name is Ben Holman, and like Chris said, we had the chance to go down during spring break 2006 to the Dominican Republic, and at that time we really felt that God was doing something really sweet with baseball, and really sweet. We're doing something cool with baseball and really something really cool with young men, particularly in baseball. And basically, I was, talking to Chris about this, and I thought that it was a good idea, and I really liked what was going on. But for me, it was really, I was sold on it, but I was trying to figure out what we were exactly going to do. What is this exactly going to look like? And so I went back down with Brian Bauer, like Chris said, last summer for 5 weeks, and really with the purpose to really find out what the I Love Baseball Foundation was going to be about and what it was going to look like. And so I went down there with the mindset to really try to figure out what the Dominicans saw were the problems, what the Dominicans saw were the solutions, and how as North Americans could we be a part of those solutions. And so that was kind of our mindset. And after going down there and spending 5 more weeks and talking to a lot of Dominicans and conducting a bunch of interviews, and you'll see that on some video, what we found out and what we realized was that a lot of kids, a lot of young men are dropping out of school to play baseball and other various things, and a lot of kids are leaving their communities at a really young age. And the cause of this, what happens is these kids, when they become 20, 25, they're without an education, without any leadership skills. And so that's what we kind of got from that summer. And so I started doing a lot more research and trying to figure out is this just a problem that's in Guadalajara where we're working? Is this just specific to men, or do women have the same problems? And kind of what I came across was that this is a problem that every boy in the Dominican Republic has. It's not specific to Guadalajara, and that it also was specific just to men. And there's just a big problem because these guys, when they're 20, 25, really just don't have the skills, and they're not prepared to go into the working environment and really be the leaders of the Dominican Republic. And just to kind of help illustrate this, one of the things I just ran across a couple months ago, I picked up from the National Statistics Office, and this is statistics on the labor force in the Dominican Republic, and this is for this year, 2007. Currently, only 26% of the people working in education are men. Only 23% of the people working in the health sector are males, and only 20% of the people working in the technical sector are males. So basically what that shows you is that when these guys are at a certain age, they're 20, 25, they don't have the skills to be able to have quality jobs. And on the flip side, it shows you how strong the women are in the Dominican Republic, because they're the ones really, holding up this economy and kind of driving the force. And but the problem is that Dominican Republic is a Latin American country, and it's a total machismo country. And even though the women are the ones who have the skills and basically the capabilities to be the leaders, the Dominican Republic is still dominated by men. Men are the ones who are in control of the country. And so basically that's the problem, is that there's all these men who are actually in leadership roles, but they don't have the skills to take on those leadership roles. And that's really kind of what we're trying to adjust with Adelaide Baseball Foundation. And one of the other things that's just kind of going on a little side note is I just want to share with you guys is oftentimes when I'm talking to people about the Adelaide Baseball Foundation, some people, people come ask me, they're like, hey, you guys, Adelaide Baseball Foundation, you guys work with guys in baseball, what are you guys going to do for the women and children? Like, what, are you guys just going to do baseball, you guys going to do softball and whatever? And the answer I say to that is, yes, we are going to focus specifically with men. That's our goal. But the reason why we're doing that is to give women and children strong male leaders in their communities and their families and give them good husbands and good fathers. So that's really what we're trying to do. And basically, the goal of the Adelaide Baseball Foundation is really to work with these young males to keep them in school and keep them kind of in that development process to get the skills that they need. And so the question that we ask ourselves is, how do we do this? How do we get kids to come and go to school and develop into leaders? And the answer that we've come up with is baseball. And that's really how, it kind of started at baseball and it kind of has come back to baseball. And that's kind of how we have felt is the solution to really connect with these kids. Because as you guys will see in the video, baseball is huge in the Dominican Republic. And you go ask any little kid on the street, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they want to be a professional baseball player. All these boys view baseball, Major League Baseball, as their ticket out of poverty and they'll do anything they can to get there. And so basically, there's just all these kids who are going to do anything it takes to get there, and they're going to do anything it takes to become a professional baseball player, whether that's leaving school or leading their communities or whatever. And basically, kind of what we're thinking is that, if they're willing to do anything to become a professional baseball player, the chances are that if the right opportunity exists, they'll even go to school and they'll even participate in some of the more developmental stuff if they have that chance. And so basically, that's what we're trying to do. And we look at baseball as not necessarily negative, as something that draws people away, but as a positive, as a way to actually draw kids in. And we're looking at baseball as kind of a window of opportunity to connect with these kids. Basically, all these kids are trying to get to Major League Baseball, and they all come through here to train. Every single boy comes through this area where they want to train, and that's kind of what we see as our goal and opportunity to really connect with these kids and really get a chance to work with these kids and get into their lives. And so, basically, our vision to do this is really to set up a place where these kids who are trying to become professional baseball players can come and get the skills and the training that they need to pursue their dream of playing professional baseball, but also a place where they can get the skills that they need to succeed in life if they do not make it to professional baseball. And so that's what we're trying to do is, as we kind of develop this, is what we're trying to do is set up these academies. It's basically educational / baseball academy where our number one priority is to get these kids educated and get these kids prepared to become leaders of their communities. And granted, that's probably not their number one priority. Their number one priority is to play baseball and pursue that dream. But either way, they're coming and they're going to be a part of it. And so that's what we're trying to do. And so basically what that's going to look like is we're basically trying to change the whole system of baseball. And you guys will get a better feel once you guys watch the video on how that is going. But we're basically trying to change the whole system and basically get places where kids, like I said, come and get the education and come and get the baseball. And what it looks like is we're going to have, basically it's going to be run by all Dominican staff. It would be a, basically it would look like a baseball training facility and a school on the same place. And it would be run by all Dominican staff. And these kids would go to school in the mornings, or they'd actually probably work out, probably 6:30, 7 in the morning, lift weights. And then during the morning, they're going to go to school. And then in the afternoon, do the baseball. And that's kind of the criteria. And basically, like I said, the job for us, why we're doing what we're going to do is because we want to get these kids educated. And the reason why they're doing what they want to do is play baseball. And so it's really important, since their dream is to play in the Major League system, it's really important that we not only have excellent educational systems, but we also have excellent player baseball facilities so that it really can compete with these other programs and academies that exist that don't have education as a priority. So we're really trying to set these things up. Our vision, our ultimate vision is to really set these things up all over the Dominican Republic. But right now, we're starting specifically in Barahona. It's a place that we've been working at for the last, 2 years of my life, or 3 years of my life. Brandon Bleak's been there for 9 years, and we have a ton of connections. And there's a great organization, Children's Nations, that we've been working with, and that's kind of where we're going to start and go from there. And I think the video's ready, so we're going to watch the video, and then Brandon's going to come back and kind of share with you guys a little bit better of how we're actually going to do what we say we're going to do. So, thanks guys.
Yo considero que el béisbol es una forma de llegar
Yo tengo 66 años y anduve por los países, Aruba, Colombia, Curazao, todas esas partes defendiendo mi país.
hay una estación en un jugador que está aquí jugando sin dinero.
Yo principalmente juego béisbol es para si en el futuro puedo quizás llegar a la Grande Liga. We want to give a shout out to, in particular, Jonathan Dabb and Liz Holman that put countless hours into putting those images together for us. From the video, you got to hear that there's no doubt that if we're going to reach young Dominican men, we have to go through baseball. It is their passion. It is the strategy that has to be there. And I want to introduce the person that's going to tell us more about the strategy that we've come up with to do that. He is a soccer player, rock climber, and skier turned first baseman for 5 games every spring. And without Brandon, we would likely not be gathered in this room. Because nearly 10 years ago, Brandon took his first trip to the DR and worked with Children of the Nations in Barahona. Is the mission coordinator for university ministries here at UPC. Brandon has hosted 5 different baseball trips now and scores of university students to the area that we've been talking about tonight. Many of those students are in this room. It is his passion, no doubt, that birthed the passion that you heard from Ben and that you heard from Chris and you hear from myself as well. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Brandon Bleak to share us more.
I wondered why they they put me up here to talk about the strategy and the business of everything. And then I just realized that as he was talking, it's because I don't have any baseball skills. And that's why they always put me at first base. I'm like they were talking about Manny. Manny has no defense, but he can hit. I'm the other way. I can't hit, but I have a little bit of defense. So let's talk about the business here. The big question is how. How do we plan to build this academy and start this journey? That's what I want to address, and I want to start by talking about a little bit about Barahona, the place that you've been hearing about and seeing in the video. Barahona is the forgotten corner of the Dominican Republic. It's in the southwest, and it's a primarily dry and deserty place. Some cactus, some dry trees, and some sugarcane, and a lot of Haitian potatoes, like we heard about. Barahona is known as the place that doesn't produce. It doesn't produce much sugar, or doesn't produce many exports. Doesn't produce the big money makers in the country like tourism. It doesn't produce political leaders, and it's been known not to produce quality baseball players. And that's the reason we're starting in Barahona. You probably get a little emotion here. To give the young people there a chance. How? Well, there's 3 initial steps to the beginning of the ILB program in Barahona. First, we want to send short-term teams to Barahona. We desire to bring awareness to the plight of these young men. Simply when a group from the States goes down there and interacts with these young men, they are greatly impacted. They come back aware of the needs and the desires of their Caribbean brothers. Short-term trips also change lives, both of those who go and those gone too. The intentions of the ILB are to change lives, primarily of the young men down there. In some situations, the best way to give people the opportunity to experience Christ cross-culturally, say that 5 times fast, which is a main objective of the ILB, is to bring in foreigners who locals will be attracted to. The attraction of someone new can bring these men to a place where their ears are open to things that they usually wouldn't be. The other thing we can do is bring in short-term baseball teams. By bringing in competitive baseball teams, the ILB can win the respect of the players, which opens doors for lives to be changed, leadership to be developed, and the gospel to be chosen. Bringing these teams also simply helps those young Dominican men to learn about the ILB and its programs. The second initial step that we can take is to send Ben and Ellen, who you'll meet in a little bit, to Barahona this summer. There they will have 2 primary jobs. The first job they will have is to organize the Dominican Board of Advisors. We at the ILB know that we can't do it on our own. Instead, we desire a local board of advisors who are on the ground and in the trenches. Only locals can fully understand the dilemma that their young men are in. This board will be made up of Christians who have a passion for sharing Christ and seeing those young men grow. And hopefully, like the video said, they'll have a little baseball in their blood too. Ben and Ellen's other task will be to hire the first Dominican baseball coach. If there's a crux to the ILB program, it's this: to hire that coach. This coach will be someone who can teach the most advanced baseball skills possible, has a high-level baseball experience, is a Christian man, and has a passion for mentoring these young men. As soon as we find this man, this program can begin. Hiring this coach has the possibility of making our operations viable as early as even this summer. If you choose to pray for one thing, I'd say, if you choose to pray for one thing, pray that this man can be found. The third initial strategy is to continue to research land for purchase and to create and design a baseball field. That's the main point of this banquet and all of ILB's fundraising tactics. The ILB can't happen without an academy. Trust me, I've been on 5 competitive teams down there. There's not a decent field in Barahona. Every ballpark, if you can even call them that, has rocks throughout the infield. As you saw, pigs and goats and even donkeys running throughout the outfield. To produce quality baseball players, you need quality baseball fields. and to attract young men who are being pulled away to academies in San Domingo or San Pedro, academies that don't care whatsoever about their education or spiritual lives, the ILB must have a competitive academy. But I feel like there's still a big question hanging in the air. How are we going to be able to pull all this off beginning this summer? The answer is we desire to partner with this organization you've heard a little bit about already that Chris talked about, Children of the Nations. Actually, we're in talks with them now about a partnership. Children of the Nations, or COTN as we refer to them, is a nonprofit organization who is dedicated to rescuing destitute and orphan children. Let me try that again. They're dedicated to rescuing destitute and orphan children. Great goal. They have over a decade of experience in Africa and DR. Why would we partner with them? Well, I've got 5 or 6 little reasons here. One, because they know how to do education. In the movie we saw Antonio, or Tony. Tony's one of the first kids. Tony's one of the first kids to go to high school from one of the Bateys. He's one of the first kids to go to university, and now he's going to medical school. All because 10 years ago, COTN went into the Batey called Algodone with a desire to educate the children of these communities. Another reason to partner with COTN is they have the structure in the area. They're a well-oiled machine with 3 villages that they're already working in and a 4th that they're pursuing. They have a medical clinic that provides health care to those who could never afford it. A board of directors made up of local leaders and a dedicated full-time staff who deal with the everyday problems, challenges, and logistics of caring for and feeding hundreds of hungry children. The third reason is that Children of the Nations has connections. You heard about David Cuevas, one of the in-country staff with Children of the Nations. He was there in the video. Part of his responsibility is sports ministry, along with a lot of other responsibilities. He also, though, has a high-level position within the baseball community in Verona, and he has access to governmental power. Here's an example. When Ben and I were in Verona this past March, David set up 2 meetings for us. We met with 2 men. One was the commissioner of baseball in Verona, and 2 was the minister of sport in the Dominican Southwest region, a man who could personally lobby the Dominican government in Santo Domingo himself. We were able to tell them both about the vision of the ILB, and both were very intrigued and wanted to stay in touch. That's a connection we could never have made on our own. Another reason, 4th, COTN can mentor us. By coming alongside COTN, we have the opportunity to learn from a nonprofit organization who's gone before us in the same region we're targeting. We have the unusual opportunity to learn the ins and the outs of the politics, the culture, and the people we'll be in direct contact with. COTN has built buildings, set up schools, lobbied the government for teachers, created a nonprofit organization, and experienced the power of people praying for an organization and for the people it serves. 5th, COTN is motivated and excited to work with us. Chris Clark, president of Children of the Nations, looked across the desk at Ben and I and said, "This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time, but never could. This is something COTN has a vision and a desire to do." And last, partnering with COTN could be the capstone of our strategy. I was 22 when I walked into my first Batey with COTN. What I saw was horrifying. I saw children with bloated stomachs, dreary faces and no education, living among broken and bruised families, suffering from immense poverty. I'm now 32. I've been there 9 times. I now see immense change. I see smiling, shiny faces of well-fed children. From the windows of their classrooms, I hear those children recite grammar and math lessons. I see young teenage leaders picking them up, loving them, and changing their lives. That's why we want to partner with COTN. We believe that the ILB, along with COTN, can make the same difference in these young baseball players' lives as it did in the children of the Batays. So ultimately, these 3 strategies, sending short-term teams, sending Ben and Ellen to Verona, and researching land to purchase and build on, plus a partnership with COTN, will lead us to our first goal. That goal is to begin construction of this educational baseball academy in Verona by July 1st of 2008. Thanks for listening.
Well, I am one of those baseball fans that at the end of one season, this season, I'm immediately excited for the next because in my 31 years, my team has never won at all. My beloved Seattle Mariners are born losers. And yet every year I finish the season excited for the next. In college, I read a book from presidential scholar Doris Kearns Goodwin called Wait Till Next Year. It's her childhood memoir of growing up as a great fan of the also born loser Brooklyn Trolley Dodgers. And she put her finger on it really well in that book, that the optimism that baseball fans seem to have as they wait until next year is an optimism that we need as we look at the world. An optimism that somehow leads us to believe that things can change, and they can change as soon as next year. Maybe next year, the Yankees won't be in the postseason. Maybe next year, the Mariners will. Maybe next year, something can change for these young boys that we've been talking about in the Dominican Republic. We've been waiting for a couple of years now to get up and share some of these words that we've shared tonight. This opportunity to give these young men a chance to win in the upcoming season. At the heart of the vision and hope that those of us have dreamed about with the I Love Baseball Foundation, it's the same hope that we have as fans. The belief and optimism that things can, in fact, change. Our hope, as you have heard and seen, is that these young Dominican boys get a chance to win. And by that, we mean the chance to become great baseball players, yes. But even more, the chance to win and succeed in school. The chance to win in their communities, in relationships, and in their faith. Next year, we believe that there is a new season that can bring a whole new hope and expanded vision for these guys that live in such harsh conditions. Our desire to give these young men a vision beyond the diamond. A group of men that Brandon, Ben, Chris, and myself have come to care tremendously about. Over the past 3 springs, we've had the opportunity to go down and play 5 games. 5 games on fields that some of you saw that resemble something out of The Field of Dreams, a great movie with Kevin Costner a few years ago. We get down each spring and play 5 games, and in those 5 games, we see young men take our pastime and make it a passion. In 5 games, we meet guys that have the dreams of playing in the majors, and we meet guys that just want a little bit of time away from the reality of the poverty that they live their lives in. In 5 games each spring, we believe that we are interacting with young men that we think can have a profound, profound change on the communities that they come from, where men are totally, totally absent. Our vision is that they become role models for the boys that are there now. In 5 games, we get a vision for them. We get a vision in a way that they can't have it for themselves right now, and have a passion to give them the opportunity to catch the vision that we have for them. In 5 games, we get a vision for how baseball might be used to get these young men beyond baseball. Now, living here in the Northwest, I know not everybody gets the opportunity each spring to go down and play 5 games like we do, but you likely do have the opportunity to go and enjoy 5 games to see some of the best players in the world down here at Safeco Field. With that in mind, this is what I'd like to do tonight. We're hoping to raise $20,000 tonight, and that's a far cry from the $300,000 that Uncle Kirby tries to raise for Kelso Little League. Okay, just $20,000 tonight. And in the spirit of 5 games, this is what I'd like to do. Think about perhaps the last time you went and enjoyed a game at Safeco Field. How much was the face value of the ticket that you bought? Are you like Julie and I, that sometimes you sneak into the cheap seats, the $7 seats? What we're asking for is 5 games of that price. So 5 at $7 a piece. $35 is what we're asking for tonight. If you sat in the All-Star Club, that means you paid $150 a seat, and you get to help us out with $750. But wait, there's more. For that lucky person that sat in one of those suites, you get to help us out with $10,000 in there, covering half of what we're asking for. My guess is that most of you sat somewhere in between, or maybe not in between. But think about what the face value of that ticket was, and what we're asking you to do is multiply it by the 5 games that we get to enjoy with these Dominican kids every spring. 5 games. So that next year, maybe these kids have a shot at winning just a little bit more. Now, as we invite you to come alongside us financially, I need to express how profoundly grateful we at the ILB are that for Upper Crust Catering and Jim Lustig. Jim, would you put your hand up, please? Thank you. Jim and his staff donated 100% of the food and drink that you enjoyed tonight, which we are, like I said, are just unbelievably grateful for, and I've been a recipient of Jim's generosity for quite some time. And then another donor graciously volunteered to underwrite any of the rest of the costs of this event. And I use that to say that any money you contribute tonight will go 100% towards implementing the strategy that Brandon talked about, directly to the operations of the I Love Baseball Foundation as we gear up to partner all the more with Children of the Nations in Barahona, Dominican Republic. Ben, Brandon, Chris, and I, and the rest of the ILB staff know that we cannot do this without your financial support and your prayers. And while we are certainly in need of the funds to keep moving, those prayers are just as important, as we're just a kind of a group of guys seeking to be obedient to the call that God has placed on our hearts to care for the orphan that's among us. So please consider supporting this in both ways. There are cards on your tables, and we invite you to fill those out. Any checks can be made payable to UPC and, of course, are tax deductible. If you'd like to give with a credit card, please fill out the form. In any event, place your gift in the bronze envelope on the table, and we will collect it at the end of our event. Again, thank you for being here tonight and for partnering with us as we step into this adventure that God has called us to. We are excited to see what God is going to do, and we are all the more excited to share it with you in future gatherings like this. So please make your consideration, and thank you again for being here tonight. Now Ellen's going to come up and give us some closing words and a benediction.
Hi everyone, my name is Ellen Burwald and I'm the Assistant Director of the I Love Baseball Foundation. And I'm going to do a little raffle for us and then thank some people and pray and then we'll be out of here. So here we go, so get your raffle tickets ready. Okay, so here it is. It's 799003. 799003. Alright. So you can go ahead and head on to the back. That's where your stuff is. Again, the raffle was Jay Banner, Mariners signed hat, and some tickets and some other stuff with that. So. And then we had a ton of people that helped put this event on. And we've got a little PowerPoint to thank all of them, the church, UPS store in Wallingford, and a ton of people that helped out. So if you guys that helped could just stand up, and we want to give you a round of applause to thank you so much for all of that. That's all you A to Z Sports guys. Thanks a lot. All right, if we could bow our heads in prayer. Lord, we thank you for this night and for everyone here. Thank you that you have a greater vision for our communities, for Barahona, for the Dominican Republic, for the world, and for all of us. Thank you for the work that you're doing in Barahona, for all the progress you've made through people and organizations in Barahona. And we ask for your restoration and opportunities in the Bates and in Barahona. In your holy and precious name we pray. Amen.
Really quick, well, Ellen is up here. Ellen is the person that's put on this entire event. She's not going to get to stick herself. So I just wanted to say thank you to Ellen.
Thanks a lot for coming. We enjoyed having you guys and have a great evening.
How did you feel about today's? Whoa, buddy.
I feel like I'm gonna go to.
I emptied out my wallet, man. I got no cash. I gave it all away.
You give it to A to Z Sports?
There's that box. Your employer